Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Day After Podcast and our sub-show LYNCHPIN, where we've decided to watch and rank almost every David Lynch film in chronological order. Mike is here as always.
Hello.
And today we're very, very pleased to bring you film number 8 out of 10. This is 1999's The Straight Story, directed by David Lynch. One of the very few, if not the only film he did not write or have anything to do with the screenplay.
It shows.
Really?
Except for one instance.
Guys, there's one gag. I swear to God, Mike nailed it. It's with the first two things you see on this, they feel like an SNL sketch. One, a film by David Lynch.
It's
first
a Walt Disney production directed by David Lynch, and you want to go, oh, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's an SNL sketch.
But like I gotta say, David, you didn't punch yourself in the dick. This was really good.
Were you worried that it would boulderize?
We just watched Lost Highway. Okay, that's what I was worried, because this was another thing where, I mean, well, for one thing, another movie that's fascinated by images of the road. So, yeah. Which also, same thing with
Wild at Heart.
Lots of roads.
That was good.
So I was worried about major self-dick punchage.
Like kneecapping itself intentionally to fit with the Walt Disney aesthetic.
Or the Lynchian aesthetic.
So,
this is being pulled in so many directions, and I think he nails the sweet spot.
David Lynch is a man who knows when to take a second back seat when you did really good at the Cannes Festival, and then Walt Disney Productions or whomever says, "I would like this film, please," and it's the only, shockingly, it's the only David Lynch film to get a G rating. Shockingly. Guys, here is the only... TV Tropes is a fucking riot. Go read the entire TV Tropes article after this. It's hysterical. A lot of people said that the one scene that reminds you that David Lynch filmed this is a standalone scene that is never mentioned again. It's a quintessential big-lipped alligator moment where he witnesses a car crash, and out pops this Kathy Griffith lookalike who begins screaming in panic, and you are worried because the last time you saw a car crash, there's exposed brain coming out of a woman who is not long for this world. This woman is panicking, goes, "Can I help you?" "No, sir, you cannot help me. I cannot stop running into deer. I have to take this road 40 minutes here and back every day to go to work. I have hit 13 deer in the last 7 weeks. And I love deer." And then she gets in her car and drives off. He doesn't tell anybody about that.
And then he starts to cook one of the deer. Hey, your curse, my blessing.
That
was so good. I loved that scene so much.
Disney was like, Walt, David, you get one. This movie is based on the real-life 1994 event starring a man named Alvin Straight, who died 3 years before this movie came out in his journey to go see his brother in Mount Zion.
Again, the theme and style of this movie, that as it started, I was really worried, because it starts in a kind of a similar setting to Blue Velvet. Mm-hmm. And I was worried that we were going to get another one of these... really surrealistic critiques of Midwestern suburbia that kind of looks like the music video for Black Hole Sun.
Guys, okay, wow. Number one, deep cut reference. Number two, I happened to just recently edit that podcast to come out a week from the day for Blue Velvet. Okay. And we had nothing to say besides, you tried to do Suburbia is a lie, and that's all you got going for you. It's one of the weaker... Yeah.
And this one, like... There's none of that. Like, he's really genuine about it. He's not out to get it or display it with a kind of ironic, self-critical nostalgia.
Nobody would bat an eye if I in a fit of rage deemed David Lynch to be a cynic. Yes. Right? I'm not out of place there, right?
And like, of the ones we've seen, the movies that are like the most emotionally heartfelt is Elephant Man, which is nonetheless cynical, and this. But this is about the simple goodness of people, and it was refreshing to just see simple goodness.
Yeah, it's the most heartwarming film David Lynch has ever made. Before I get into that, even Elephant Man we use the term, it's Oscar baity. It's very Oscar baity. It's got John Hurt and Anthony Hopkins, before they were famous, but it's got deformity and an overcoming adversity and a sad ending. That's quintessential Oscar bait. This got picked up by Disney. It only aired in 186 theaters.
Interesting.
It got very little promotion, and despite being universally praised across the board, didn't really do well.
The kind of simple goodness that we're talking about is not necessarily, it's not melodramatic. No, it's just kind of this hard-won, long road type of goodness that you only get through long life and wisdom.
It's not melodramatic. I asked myself that, about 20% through the movie, would I call this a melodrama? Not really. Number one, I don't want to call somebody out. I want to discuss this. David Lynch later went on to say, this is my most experimental film.
It's definitely I guess if your experiment is to not be Lynchian.
well, that's interesting. I'm going to deliberately get out of character for this. This was filmed in chronological order on the real route that he took to Mount Zion.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
They added maybe a character here or there to give it more dynamism.
That sounds like something like Herzog would do,
Werner.
Except it would be in the jungle. But anyway.
That's it. Well, that's what they did. They did it in order. Before I back into my real life thing, I deliberately kept this back from you while we were watching because I want you to hear about this. This is what is the name of the guy who plays, not Harry Dean Stanton. Oh my God, put it on screen for me. The main character.
Okay.
His actor. That man, his limp is real because his actor is going through metastatic prostate cancer.
What the fuck?
That had spread to his bones. So his walking is real. And the year after this movie came out, he shot himself in his barn. So there's a running theme of mortality that hurts a little bit more when you read some of the backstory for this movie.
This is okay. The process of making it, they were enacting what they were talking about.
The fact that the man is not long for this world and he's got lots of problems.
And they are physically, they are actually following the path this guy went. They're filming it in chronological order.
They're reenacting the 14 stages of the cross, almost. That's disrespectful. I apologize.
There was some... I don't know.
There was a lot of falling. No, that was rude.
That's true.
Okay.
I don't know if it was intentional or not, but there was once in the movie, you can edit this out if it's complete bullshit, but there's once in this movie where there's a lens flare right in the middle that's in the shape of a cross. It's really faint. If you're not looking at it, it's right in the center.
I might keep that in just to make you look like an asshole, but yeah, I think you might be reaching a little bit, but it's not.
It could also just been an accident.
Yeah, I would consider that an accident. It's this movie. I would consider it an accident because this movie loves to. Real quick, David wanted to be as artsy as he could within the boundaries of a Disney film. So the North American DVD release of this movie does not have chapters breaks. David Lynch wanted you to watch this movie as a whole, from start to finish, all hour and 51 minutes of it.
And it has this kind of meditational quality to it. This
thing
movie makes you slow down.
Yeah, you have to slow your metabolism. It's a very slow movie. The only thing I can consider bookmarks are these repeated... It plays the main theme tune while it cuts to legit amber waves of grain and the same tractor that is pulling up the crop.
Yeah.
It's real. I'm excited. But also my boy is a city kid. And there are scenes that I got to really be excited about because here's the thing. Oh god. They
use our area code.
No, now they're gonna know where we live. No, it's there are scenes that aren't like, oh, get it? Here we go. Okay, let me back up. I swear to God, this is involved. Okay, 2009, the Star Trek remake comes out. We go see it as Iowans in theaters, and in the first thing where they have to set up how big a badass Captain Kirk is.
Okay.
He grew up in Riverside, Iowa, so the first time you see him, he's driving in a car, he spins really bad, and like the subtitle says Iowa, and everybody goes, "Yay!" That was, even though he comes from Riverside, Iowa, that felt pandery. This has got things that Mike didn't even bat an eye at. Like, there's a scene where he has to stop because 100 bicyclists are driving down the road, and I'm like, Mike, I always thought ragbri was a Middle Eastern word. What the fuck is ragbri? Guys, if you're
Can I eat it?
Guys, if you're out there, ragbri stands for Register's annual bike ride across Iowa. The Des Moines Register has this annual race where people race from the left side of Iowa to the right side of Iowa. And if you don't know that, this is random bicyclists.
And I love the way that's shot, because it's on the one hand it's a mundane thing, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And he just starts to see this river of bicyclists.
First one, and then two, and then six,
and then he just gets off his tractor, and it doesn't stop, and he's just looking, and there's a smile on his face, like he's watching a small little miracle, almost as if it's like Sam Neill looking at the dinosaurs. They do bicycle in herds.
You're such a dipshit.
But I loved it.
Laura Dern's not coming back, you know. This movie. This is the first movie ever that I said this reminds me really heavily of another movie, and that's a good thing. I couldn't stop saying, Mike, this is just like Nebraska by Alexander Payne. Even when we read the premise in the previous episode, I'm like, this is...
Do you know if there's any direct influence?
There is. I would assume that Alexander Payne was inspired by that idea, even if he didn't give direct credence to it. Now, you might say that there are superficial differences. One would be the inclusion of comedic actor Will Forte. Two would be that in Nebraska, he's walking there instead of using his lawnmower.
Thank God this guy wasn't walking. Jesus.
The cancer. The big difference being that it is a story about a father and a son rather than a meditative journey to go see, to make amends for family.
Yes.
Nebraska's got a much bigger emphasis on family, even though this is more about his regrets and, alcoholism and World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But similar to Nebraska, this is a slow movie. You will have to slow your metabolism down, and that's okay because... I mean, if J.J. Abrams let out a slow movie, then I would be like, "What's going on? Why can't my body process this?" But with David,
my intestines reject this.
With David, it's acceptable. What the biggest compliment I can give this movie is that it works. It wasn't I didn't get shot in the head by being picked up by Disney.
This is because. We've talked about David's slow pacing before, and I think I prefer this slow pace because, for example, when it's slow in Lost Highway, there's like moments where he just like focuses on something, and you get the sense that he wants you to go, "Isn't it weird?" And I don't care that much.
Like go ahead.
In this one, the pacing is to try to change your sense of appreciation for the landscape and for the passage of time and
acceptance of stillness.
Yeah, and the acceptance of your life and seeing if you can make it a little better with the time you have left.
I feel like Lost Highways, isn't it weird? While the straight story is, ain't that weird?
Life is weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's very.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
There's an interesting slight difference in those.
There's a little bit of an intonation issue. One thing that I wanted to talk about because I saw it 3 times and I've had time to mull it over because I find this really interesting. There are scenes, you might call this a mistake. I think this is extremely deliberate, where a lot of times he gets asked, do you want some help? And he's a very stubborn man. You get that idea very, very quickly. He doesn't want help in this almost spiritual journey to forgive himself and to make amends with his brother.
Gotta carry your own cross.
Exactly. But But after that,
it's in our cultural tradition. It's in the air. I'm not saying he's directly doing it.
That's not where I'm going.
Okay, then.
But what happens is after he refuses help, most people will go, "Can I just sit and talk with you?" They'll go, "Okay." And then David will cut very far away to dialogue you can just barely not hear. As if they're not focusing on the content of the conversation, but rather the fact that the conversation is occurring. They are capturing a moment in time rather than scrutinizing an event.
Yeah. Yes. What's more important is these two strangers talking, not what they're talking about. And also we've heard the conversation at least once or twice before.
Yeah. How many? Yeah. Well, even the main character, even Alvin is like, you know how many times I've heard some variation of "that's a weird vehicle." Whatever.
And this is this is another thing I wanted to mention, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that he didn't write the script.
Interesting.
The relationships in this movie are much better. Like, I believe the relationship between
him and his daughter.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah. Sissy Spacek did a great job.
That daughter is fantastic. You truly believe the love and compassion between these two. And when he calls her for her to send his social security check, and you can tell, like, oh my God, I miss your voice so much. I miss your stutter. And his eyes are welling up, and you can see his throat undulating because he's trying not to cry.
God. Oh man, which makes all the stuff that you learn about the main actor after the fact really upsetting. It's such a nice what a weird companion piece this would be to Nebraska. It just so, I don't know. It's just so wild. It was really if I can go back to Ragbri, part of the tradition in Ragbri is that you go from left to right, which means it's tradition to dip your back tires in the Missouri River, and then to dip your front tires in the Mississippi River when you get there, as if it's almost a finish line. Now, Mount Zion, Wisconsin, where his brother lives, is close to the end of the race. It's 40 extra miles to get there, and there's a very, like, a goal, a transcendent moment when he crosses the bridge over the Mississippi River as if he's made it. There's something, he's accomplished a goal. Not like you did your goal, but there's something like almost, not transcendent, that sounds kind of douchey. Please, go ahead.
It's not an accident that the religious language keeps popping up. I mean, his brother lives in Mount Zion.
Oh, okay, all right.
But it's not douchey transcendence. It's transcendence embodied. It's here on Earth. This is not symbolism divorced from reality. No, the symbols have been incarnated in this guy's real life.
You know what's really, here's what's also really cool. At the very end, okay, spoilers by the way, nobody has talked about this movie. Please go watch it. It's really good.
If you haven't, we are recommending.
When you don't know if the brother's dead, and when it turns out he's alive at the end, he's like, "Please come sit on the porch," and the last line in the movie is his brother Lyle saying, "Did you ride that thing all the way over here for me?" And then it pans up and the movie ends, as if to say, whether or not, like, I forgive you is not worth it. The fact that I died on the cross for you, that is the power of that statement, of that mythos.
Yeah.
Just the idea that somebody would sacrifice everything for you, and it's metaphorical. I'm not equating this old man to Jesus, but the metaphor is there.
I do appreciate the fact that it ends ambiguously as to whether or not they've forgiven each other, because it's not the point. The point is that he made the journey and he got there.
At all.
And he, like, I think the brother appreciates the fact, like, I don't know if I forgive you, but wow, you're here for me?
Like, wow, you would do that for me? Holy shit.
It's very beautiful. It's very beautiful.
It really is. Damn. Holy cow! That Ragbri thing really struck home, guys. I grew up as like not a country boy, but like as a city boy in a very rural area. This man grew up down the street from Ryan Dunn in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, Jackass just makes me tear up. Not at all.
But I sometimes have to remember my roots, like. This idea of these incredible pieces of machinery that are here to feed and to help large numbers of people, I just take that for granted. I pass those on the highway. But when you stop and you observe and appreciate these small moments, like this hits not harder, but I think more efficiently for me. I don't know. I just there's another thought that it not bothered me. It's something that I have trouble articulating to Mike, and I still didn't quite get it. And that's Mike, when I see movies that are for Midwesterners or have Midwestern values, it feels, I don't know if pandery is the word, but it's like, here in Westchester, Iowa, we help each other. I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking bet you do, because that's the only thing you know about farmers is that they help each other and we wear overalls. This felt like, yes, they do have the overweight woman suntanning in her backyard, and they do have just old folks sitting and having a beer, but it feels really genuine, and I don't know. I kind of know why, but I don't know why. It just.
When we were talking about this earlier before we were recording, you were contrasting it between a certain other movie that goes, you see, we got good small town hometown values. We teach black people how to play football. That
felt, and that doesn't even take. I believe that kid signed with Baltimore, Maryland at the end of The Blind Side, Michael. Or my knowledge of football isn't there, but in that movie, Sandra Bullock's character felt. It felt like a military duty. Like, no, you have to help people. But here it's like, yeah, it's like asking a fish how the water is, and then afterwards they go. Yes. Afterwards they go, what is water? It's just the thing that is done. It's done so effortlessly, almost without thinking. The Blind Side can eat my ass. Sorry.
I've heard of a version of the phrase of, instead of senseless violence, senseless kindness. Mm-hmm. We're just, of course, that's what. Why wouldn't you do that?
And it's not to say that Midwesterners are great. Fuck off.
Oh no, they can be assholes.
No, yeah, they can. But just the ease and the effortlessness with the vacuum of effort with which a married couple is like, let's just take a half day and drive him the other 60 miles. Yeah, like, just fuck it. Like, they got nothing. It's not that we're boring, and we can be severely boring, but
severely.
But it's, Mike, I've never felt this connected to my roots. It feels odd. That's why I love, one day, I promise we're going to watch Alexander Payne's Nebraska. I don't think I've ever shown it to you.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God. It's got a very similar blood to it. It was filmed in black and white.
Incidentally, are you going to show your mom this movie that we just watched?
No. One time I showed we're about to wrap up because I'm getting off topic. I showed my mom Nebraska because the old couple in that movie is my parents. They bicker and they fight, and mom goes, "Here, this is where my son-in-law, twice removed, died," that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And this one, my mom already has a short attention span, and this movie is too slow for her. Mm-hmm. She will get bored. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Nebraska, but more than anything, this is my favorite David Lynch film so far. I did really, really like Eraserhead. This might need an actual ranking video where we put it with Pixar style. I couldn't do it with Kubrick because that's comparing apples to oranges to chairs to former President Jimmy Carter. I enjoyed myself a lot, and I really recommend it. Mike, do you have leaving comments? I'm excited.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite Lynch movies I've seen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't know. I need to still see one more, and then I'll know which is my favorite.
Oh, because you still have blind watches in there?
Yeah. Let's see. Definitely. This was such a surprising shock. Mm-hmm. Very different. Lynch, well done.
Very good, guys. Thank you for joining us on episode, let me count, 7 out of 9 of our Lynchian podcast, Lynchpin, where we watch and review every film directed by David Lynch. Join us in 1 week where we're discussing a movie he made a couple years later. You might know it as Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, that's
it's the Blade Runner of David Lynch films.
Well, it depends on the generation. Like for our age, it's Mulholland Drive. For someone later, it would be Blue Velvet or
even earlier, it'd be Elephant Man.
Yeah, something like that.
Please join us, everybody. I'm very, 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 very excited.